Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday. So, thoughts for the day. So, those who do not learn from history are doomed to rewrite it. Okay, so that's not exactly how the quote goes, but it sure seems to be the way things are going these days, right? We all know about the removal of Confederate statues in the United States, the renaming of elementary schools, the desire to remove past presidents from the currency. This is all cancel culture, okay? If a historical figure does not meet the ridiculous standards set forth by today's uber liberals, they need to be removed from history. That's just the way they look at things. Now, let's look at Canada today. July 8th, 2021, okay? Canada's National Archive has effectively canceled the country's very first Prime Minister, Sir John Alexander Macdonald, by deleting a page about him because it was offensive and didn't represent Canada as diverse and multicultural. Now, Macdonald's famous for his role in the establishment of Canada as a country on July 1st, 1867. Now, the world's changed a little bit in the last 150 years. One of his notable achievements, besides creating a country, okay, is building the Canadian Pacific Railway. Now, my question is this. By canceling Macdonald, does that mean his accomplishments go by the wayside as well? Okay. If Macdonald is erased from history, then so should the Canadian Pacific Railway be shut down, correct? Okay. After all, if he didn't exist, none of the things he did should either. Okay. You see, it's not that the communist left disagrees with the railway. It's that Macdonald had a role in passing the Indian Act, which mandated that children from indigenous tribes assimilated into Christian boarding schools, and his part also in the government's establishment of the Chinese Immigration Act. Okay, this was in 1885. Okay, the Chinese Immigration Act limited the entrance of Chinese immigrants into Canada by charging them a head tax of $50 each. Now, if you think $50 is a lot, you should see all the bills I had bringing Mrs. P over here. Okay, but that's beside the point. Now, again, you have to remember when this was. Okay, the late 1800s. The world was a vastly different place. The United States only had 38 states. Okay? The Civil War had only been over for 20 years. Canada had only been a country for 18. All right? The Ottoman Empire and Austria-Hungary were still countries, and Australia still had to wait another 16 years before it became a country. Okay? So you think the world might have been just a hair different back then. Okay? You can't fault people for what they did 150 years ago. Times were different. Okay? Do we agree with everything that was done back then? Of course not. Okay? But let's think about this for a second. Imagine we go forward in time 150 years. It's now the year 2170, and people are looking back at our time on Earth and what we did. Do they glorify having an extramarital affair like Kamala Harris did? It depends on if Christianity still exists. After all, the sixth commandment says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Okay? That could apply to a lot of politicians, from all parties too. Okay? Should they all be removed from history? Take Donald Trump. Okay? I mean, he's on his third wife. Okay? Does that mean casinos in New Jersey never existed? Skyscrapers all over the world don't exist? If you remove the person for their bad deeds, do the good deeds also follow? I mean, I bet there's a skeleton in Abraham Lincoln's closet somewhere. Does that mean signing the Emancipation Proclamation never happened? In that case, slavery would still be the law of the land. People don't think about this, all right? Face it, none of us are without sin. None. Zero. Nada. Zip. Nil. Zilch. Doesn't matter, okay? Every single person on the face of the earth in the last 2021 years is a sinner, bar none, okay? The world is what it is today because of the people that were here yesterday, both good and bad, okay? What would the world be like if Adolf Hitler died during World War I? I mean, he was a soldier for the German army in World War I, okay? What would it be like? What would the world be like if the Bolsheviks lost? What would it be like if the South won the Civil War? Or if Great Britain won the Revolutionary War? Okay? No one knows. Unless Hollywood comes up with some parallel universe fantasy, we never even think about it because it's the past, it's history, it's over. Okay? All we can do is hope to do better going forward. And no matter how hard we try, we'll never be perfect. That's the beauty of the human race. Okay? We're all different. We look differently, we talk differently, we eat differently. Most importantly, we think differently. All right? Imagine a world where everyone spoke the same language, dressed the same, ate the same food, and agreed on everything. Now, besides sounding like a Catholic school, it sounds extremely boring. Okay? Can you imagine Washington, D.C.? You'd have one person talking and 535 bobbleheads going like this, okay, just nodding. God forbid you have a different idea. Scary thought, huh? Well, that's communism. You're only allowed to think one way, and if you rock the apple cart, off with your head, okay? You see, this is the path that the leftists are taking us on. This is their utopia. As Orwell described it in 1984, it's groupthink. Now, personally, I wouldn't survive a day in a society such as this, and I bet most of you guys wouldn't either, okay? I like the fact that I'm able to speak what's on my mind, and I do it often. And believe it or not only here on YouTube, okay? I like being a rebel. I like the fact that I don't have to conform. I like to be able to do what I please, within reason, okay? Imagine living your life like you're at work, in the office, 24/7. Where now, you have to go to the office, please the boss for 8 hours a day, and then you can go get in your car, cuss him up one side and down the other, okay? But imagine not being able to do that. Imagine having to live your life like you're in the office, like you're at work, every second of every day. That's the utopia of the liberal left. That's what the World Economic Forum and the communist overlords in Washington on both sides want. And there are many sheeple that are happily following orders and going down that path. To mainstream media, for example, okay? You see, time travel hasn't been invented, and it never will. That I'm certain, okay? It's a great premise to a Hollywood movie, but it just isn't possible. Changing history is not possible, no matter how hard the woke crowd wants to do it. Try as they might, the only way this country, and this world for that matter, survives is if there are enough people that refuse to fall into lockstep. There are lyrics from a song entitled In the Beginning that are very appropriate to what we face as preppers, as patriots, and as humans. Okay? It goes like this. In the beginning, good always overpowered the evil of all man's sins. But in time, the nations grew weak, and our cities fell to slums, while evil stood strong. In the dusts of hell lured the blackest of hates, for he whom they feared awaited them. Now, many, many lifetimes later, lay destroyed, beaten down, only the corpses of rebels, ashes of dreams, and blood-stained streets. It has been written, those who have the youth have the future. So come now, children of the beast, be strong and shout at the devil. In my interpretation of these lyrics, we are the children of the beast. Mark of the beast, children of the beast. Okay? The communist overlord wannabes and the World Economic Forum are the devil. Okay? Now is the time for us to be strong and let the devil know that he will never succeed in his desires, no matter what. Because we are strong as individuals, but we are mighty as a group. We are prepared, we are ready, and we will overcome. It's been done many times in history, and evil loses every single time. This time shall be no different. History will be written by the victors once again, and that will be us. And no, it will not be changed. Have a good Thursday. Pinball out.